Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Well, this time we're going to go back to the year 2000. It's 25 years ago, and this doesn't seem like it should be that old, but it is. And this is even going back farther from before the Fantastic Four. Reed Richards in his first Amazing Adventures, issue number 1. First issue spectacular from Marvel Comics, of course. And this is a kind of a fun one. From what I gather, this was a 3-issue miniseries, which I had never seen. This is the only issue I have seen from it. After reading it, I would kind of like to see the rest of it. Just because it looks like a fun little tale. This is written by Peter David, with art by Duncan Fegredo. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm totally unfamiliar with. Of course, but Peter David was a prolific writer who we just lost just a few months ago. And he was a prolific writer. He had a long run on The Incredible Hulk before this. Of course, he had many health problems, recovering from a stroke or something like that. And I think it was complications from that which ultimately did him in. Said he had a long run on the Hulk. He had done quite a bit on one of the Star Trek titles at DC, which I don't recall which one offhand. And he wrote several Star Trek novels. And so he was an accomplished novelist. He wrote, I think, 1 or 2 Hulk novels and or novelizations. At least one novelization for. I think he did novelizations of both of the live-action Hulk movies, but I might be wrong on that one. He wrote the novelization of The Rocketeer based on the Disney film, and he wrote the novelization of the second Swamp Thing movie. So he was a prolific writer. And unfortunately, I know nothing about this artist. But he seems to have done a fine job on this title. So let's go through it. This looks adventuresome. From what I gather, it's a little bit like Indiana Jones meets MacGyver. or maybe the love child of Indiana Jones and MacGyver. And but it is a fun thing, and it starts off with at the time the Fantastic Four was based out of, at the time of this writing anyway, was based in a warehouse on a pier near, I think it's the East River, and there, the son of Reed and Richards and Sue Storm, little Franklin, is playing around in there in their living quarters. He loses his ball, goes to find it, and he finds this cool-looking box. And it has is decidedly rather Egyptian-looking markings on this box. And he's curious about it, so he even though he's told he's never supposed to go in that closet, but he gets in there anyway. He sees all kinds of stuff, cool stuff. He sees this ball, looks like what is it, Pokemon ball, and he's about to toss that one. Fortunately, he didn't. Reed's right there, Mr. Fantastic, and he snatches the boy up and grabs the ball and chews him out for that. And doesn't realize the potential danger he was in. and he tells the boy about that he had. This is some souvenirs from some adventures he had many years before, and before the Fantastic Four. So he picks some up and he starts talking about it, and so then we have the splash page introducing us to Reed Richards and the Riddle of Bast. See, even the way it's titled is like that, and he's on this already in the middle of this adventure. He's got this kid under one arm, a gun in the other, and this young lady he's working with here who bears a striking resemblance to Laura Croft from Tomb Raider. And they are being shot at and pursued by an army. And got this officer, Chinese army officer, shaking his fist and yelling at him, and said, "Oh, we've got to stop here," and because this boy he's got is a prince. He's basically supposed to be like kind of like a Dalai Lama, but here he's a prince, ruler, and we don't know the circumstances of what brought him here. This is just an introduction. He gets into his little bag of tricks, and which has a whole bunch of these little Pokemon type balls in there, and he rigs up a sling thing. He says, and then he tosses it, and he tells the kid, "All right, Your Highness, time for you to die." He goes, "Did you say?" And the ball flies, kablooey, causing an avalanche, which takes out and delays and puts a barrier between the army, the soldiers, and him. And while they're looking, they find scraps of the robe that the little prince had been wearing. So he's not. Meanwhile, then they get the young prince to safety. He will have his court outside of the country, away from the Chinese rulers, and then the young man. The young prince gives him a little token. He says, "My court mage, may he rest in peace, fashioned this for me, but he died before I arrived." He says, "Yes, only belatedly did I realize your true role in the Creator's grand play." So he's got this little, what is it? He doesn't know, but he puts it around his neck with the lanyard, and then he and the young lady take off. Then we're back. Then we are in Paris. This is when he was working at what was it? At DeMarco Laboratories in Paris, and his boss, some professor, his boss, is coming to see him. Says, "Richards, I don't understand. You have a perfectly good lab at the facility. Why do you insist on working in this dreary walk-up with, oh my?" And yes, there it is. There's a lovely young lady dressed as a farm girl with a backdrop holding up an apple. And he seems to be painting her. And because she is someone who had taken a shine to him and volunteered to model for him. And so then they're done, and she takes off, and with a rather... kind of an invitation for later rendezvous, and it just goes right over Richard's head. and then the scientist is surprised when he turns around and look at what they was painting, and it wasn't the girl at all. It was just the apple, and he was coming with all kinds of stuff from the apple and things for his inventions based on some concepts based on the apple, and it had nothing to do with the model. And he's kicking back and he's looking stuff, and he's kind of a little bit of the absent-minded professor thing here, and says, "Oh, but the reason I came for you is because you haven't heard what? That skip over that another friend of his, Professor Van Nuys, is in severe mental health problems. He rushes to Zurich, I think it is, where in the hospital. Is that right? No, it doesn't matter. Maybe it's back to America, and where he goes in to see the fellow who is in very bad shape, and he seems to be a lot like Stephen Hawking here. He's basically this, and this is Professor Van Nuys, and the thing says, "Is there anything I can do?" And he just says, "Cats." What? Cats? And he goes, "What the heck?" So he goes to the professor's home, gets inside, because he says he probably wants me to feed his cats. He gets there, and the place is just overrun with cats, and the place has just been like it's been torn apart. What's going on? Then he finds this great big bruiser who's apparently Egyptian, wearing a fez. And he is a big bruiser. He takes Reed by his shirt, and once he's looking for something, wants to get whatever it is he's after, but Reed is quick thinking, smacks him in the head with the bag of cat food, and so he is covered in the cat food. Then gives Reed a chance to get away. He rushes into another room and locks the door, finds it. Oh, I can get out the window. Oh, nope, it's barred. So he can't get out that way. So this is where he MacGyvers up something, grabs the lamp and the cord, plugs it in, and attaches it to the doorknob, so that when the big bruiser touches the doorknob, he gets lit up. Zap! So he is pretty woozy when he opens the door, and it only takes a single wham, and he is down and out for the count. And the cats are having a good old time eating all the cat food that's on him. So then there's something that he found in that office, and he takes it to someone at a university, another facility for translation. And apparently it's in some ancient. He goes to see an Egyptologist because it's written in ancient Egyptian, and first he doesn't realize that this is the person he's after. He thinks she's just a receptionist. She sees it, she snatches it from his hand, and miss, be careful, that's very delicate. Then he discovers that, this is indeed Frankie. He was mistaken. He thought the person was supposed to be Frank. And this is Frankie, who he was there to meet. And then she spots that little doodad around his neck that the prince had given him. Says, "The scepter of Bast! Where in the world?" No, never mind. So she's dragging him along by the lanyard. And she's flipping through stuff and says, "Yes," and shows him a picture. This is part of the staff of Bast. It's just missing the big cat's paw that is mounted atop of it. And says, so now they're going to go someplace. They're on a plane, and they're going someplace else. So she's still working on the translation. I guess I think they're going to Egypt or whatever. And he is told by now she's been brought up to speed, and it's about the big bruiser, and he says, well, they're getting comfortable because they got a long flight ahead of them. And she asks about the big bruiser and says, "Oh, I wouldn't worry about him. I stayed there until the cops hauled him off in handcuffs." Then we see the big bruiser in the pilot's seat with the actual pilot who's supposed to be there unconscious, and he's got the handcuffs dangling from his hands. But then our scene changes for the last page in this big castle someplace, and it says that walking up to the master of the hall, the butler, the master of the hall, who is all wrapped in bandages, and says, "I'll use the scepter of Bast to heal my face and give me immortality," which is the powers of that. And then we discover that this is Doctor Doom before the armor. Oh yeah, it's continuing. That was really exciting, and I really wish I had the rest of this story, because now I am interested. And how about you? Does that interest you in this story? And it is a lot of fun. With I like the introduction of he's telling the story, to Franklin, and and all this stuff. So it is, so you can see the where I get is a little Indiana Jones and a little bit of MacGyver in there, and it was a lot of fun. And I would like to see the rest some other time. So, but that is all I had to share with you. Please like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. Have you read this miniseries? Let me know what you thought of it if you did. And if you haven't, does it sound interesting to you? Any of that stuff. Because this artist did a fine job. I think Peter David did a real bang-up job on the writing because it got me interested. So, thank you, and remember, comics are art.